Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost, even though you said everything you wanted to? That tight knot in your throat, that feeling that every word you spoke somehow pushed you further from your own strength? Does that sound familiar? Maybe you're around people who dominate conversations, who interrupt, mock, or overwhelm the room with arrogance masked as confidence. And maybe, somewhere deep down, you've believed that staying quiet is a sign of weakness, that not defending yourself is surrendering, that not reacting is losing. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about speaking up and proving yourself is an illusion? True power has never been in words, it's in their absence. One of history's most misunderstood thinkers, Nietzsche, saw what few are brave enough to admit.
Welcome to PsychCore.
Those who talk too much often reveal too much, and those desperate to convince are already at a disadvantage. The world tells us to fight, to explain, to defend our ideas as if every conversation is a battle for truth. But nature suggests a different path, a subtler, more intelligent, and far more powerful one. Nietzsche believed that silence is not just the absence of noise, it's an overwhelming presence. Silence unsettles. It destabilizes. It forces others to confront themselves. This video is for anyone who constantly feels ignored, overshadowed, or dismissed. For those of you who leave conversations thinking, nobody really heard what I meant. For those who are tired of being the calm one while others take advantage of your peace. Maybe you've confused your silence with submission, but today, I'll show you how silence can be your most powerful weapon. True victory doesn't come from winning arguments. It comes from never needing to enter one. Get ready to see silence in a new light, not as emptiness, but as the ultimate response. Why do we feel the need to respond, to correct, to prove ourselves right? It's because we've been conditioned to believe that the truth must be defended at all costs. Silence feels like surrender. But Nietzsche saw this need as a symptom of our deepest weakness, the fear of appearing weak. Behind this fear lies the ego, a fragile ego that can't stand being questioned, that confuses disagreement with attack, and that turns every conversation into a battlefield. According to Nietzsche, most people arguing aren't seeking truth, they're seeking power. They want to reaffirm their beliefs, not because they are unshakable, but because if they crumble, everything about their world crumbles. Argumentation, in this sense, isn't a tool of wisdom, it's armor. It's the ego screaming desperately to maintain control of the narrative. And if you feel compelled to justify yourself, you've already entered their game and lost. That desire to prove yourself shows that you're still trapped by the need to be accepted, validated, understood. Nietzsche called this herd morality, living under the expectations of others, always trying to appear good, correct, or just. This quest for approval is exactly what keeps you weak. True strength lies not in convincing others, but in not needing to do so. It's in holding your vision in the face of laughter, criticism, or rejection. It's in being misunderstood and remaining unshaken. True power is internal mastery, the ability to stay calm while everyone else loses control. It grows when you stop reacting. If you want to win in life, understand this. Discussions are a theater. The first person to act has already lost. The reactive mind is a subjugated mind, while the observing mind is the dangerous one. It operates above the need to prove anything. But if we shouldn't react, how can we exert influence? How can we make others feel our strength without speaking? Nature had an answer. The concept of the Übermensch, a being who transcends ordinary morality and dominates through absolute self-control. The Übermensch doesn't need to win debates. They don't engage in emotional games. They observe, they understand, they speak only when necessary, and more importantly, they know the value of silence. Silence is a language. one that doesn't convince but commands presence. It's not empty, it's authority. While others shout, the Übermensch commands respect with a look. While others explain, they reveal weaknesses through calm observation. Their silence is a wall. Those on the other side despair, overthink, and make mistakes. They lose balance. This silence is not passivity, it's mastery, strategic and intentional. Every word spoken is a move revealed. Every emotional reaction exposes a weakness. That's why the strongest remain quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because they don't need to say anything. Their presence speaks for them, and their silence unsettles others, because it forces them to confront themselves. In a world of noise, those who master silence are kings. The Übermensch creates their own values and rules. They are not dependent on validation, which is why they are feared. Nothing destabilizes more than someone who can't be manipulated by guilt, fear, or the need for approval. And when they do speak, it's devastating because it's precise and undeniable. Why does silence unsettle others so much? Psychology shows us that it mirrors people's own thoughts back to them. Without a reaction from you, the other person loses control. The amygdala, the fear center of the brain, activates. They start projecting insecurities onto you. Silence becomes an invisible blade, cutting where no one can see but everyone feels. NZ understood this long before psychology explained it. Most people are slaves to their reactions. They act impulsively, react out of vanity, speak out of fear. The superior spirit, however, stays silent because every word is a gift to the enemy, and every reaction is a weakness exposed. Manipulators thrive on reactions. If you don't react, you break their cycle. They panic, they reveal themselves, they make mistakes. Silence even activates unresolved pain in others, traumas of rejection, humiliation, and abandonment, because suddenly they realize they're not the center of your world. Silence hits at the core of their illusions. This is why mastering silence requires strength. It's uncomfortable because it goes against everything we've been taught, against the impulse to react or explain ourselves. But that's exactly why it's powerful. Mastery is true power. Once you understand how silence works in others' minds, how it exposes insecurities and breaks defenses, it's time to go further, to use it intentionally. Transform silence into a weapon. Win arguments without speaking a word. No one will be able to control you. Knowledge without practice is dead theory. From here on, silence becomes a precision weapon, not a shield, but a blade that cuts through masks at exactly the right moment. The first step is simple but brutal. Stay silent when your instinct screams to respond. Every urge to justify or prove yourself is poison. It reveals that you're still under the control of others. True silence comes when you realize you owe nothing to anyone and that truth exists without your defense. The second weapon is observation. While others talk to fill the void, you listen like a hunter tracking prey. Notice the fears hidden between words, the insecurities masquerading as confidence. Store this information, because when you speak, it will be surgical. The third weapon is time. Let silence linger. The pause creates tension and power. The longer the silence, the more the other person's mind fills with doubt, fear, and paranoia. Your calm gaze can have more impact than 10 sentences. The fourth weapon is unpredictability. Silence makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is feared. People start second-guessing themselves, becoming cautious. You become the gravitational center of the conversation. Silence is no longer absence, it's dominance. But remember, silence is not weakness. This is active, charged, intentional power. When the right moment comes, one carefully chosen word can end an argument. Not because it's louder, but because it's truer, deeper, undeniable. Sometimes the goal is survival, not victory. People may manipulate you, drain you, or use your calm to their advantage. This is why understanding and controlling your silence is crucial. Stop being passive. Stop surrendering your power. The silence of submission must die. It must be replaced with the silence of presence, the silent authority that doesn't bend, doesn't apologize, and commands respect, even without a word. True mastery is not domination over others, it's domination over yourself. It's reclaiming control over your life and your narrative. Silence becomes a force, not out of fear, but out of power. The Übermensch embodies this, living by their own rules, mastering themselves, and acting with absolute precision. Their silence is not for the weak, it's for the warrior who has already won. Look at your own life. How often have you stayed silent out of fear or guilt? How often have you let others speak for you, push you aside, or trample over your truth? Enough. From now on, your silence must command respect. It must become a declaration of who you are, even if no one understands. True courage is living your presence fully, unapologetically. If you've reached this point, comment below. I choose the silence that commands respect. Affirm this choice to yourself and to the world. And remember, the weak shout, the strong remain silent, and the wise choose their moments carefully. Subscribe to PsychCore to continue mastering silence, power, and presence. The next video will take you even deeper into this philosophy, revealing how to wield silence to dominate without words and break free from manipulation. Your journey begins now. The time has come to let your silence speak louder than any argument ever could.